This is Appendix E, exporting shapefiles, exercise E.1, exporting a shapefile using Asset Manager. In this exercise, we will export the corridor edge of pavements, which is the EOPs, into a shapefile. So let's start off by opening the Road2 SF corridor DGM file located within the Appendix E subfolder. Once the file loads, let's make sure that the default view is active in the lower left corner. And let's make sure we have the correct files referenced. So here we need to make sure we have the geometry and the terrain file both referenced. So next we can open the Asset Manager tool under Open Roads Modeling, Utilities, and Item Types. Within the Asset Manager window, let's browse to one of these folders here. So here within this, we want to go back till we find that configuration folder. And then we want to go to the Organization Civil, and then T.Standards, and then Asset Manager. And there should be 3 different Excel files in here. And we want to select the Shape Export file. So go ahead and press Open. So there should only be one type, which is the SHP option, should now appear under the Shape Export section. Let's go ahead and toggle on this SHP checkbox, and doing this we'll set it as the active item type to be attached to elements. So before we can export, we need to assign the SHP item type to the elements that we need to export. So let's go ahead and update the element selection method to selection set, and then let's leave the assign option as add. So now we can hold Control on our keyboard and select the 2 EOP lines in the plan view. Then the next step is going to be clicking the Add Assets. Then as we do this, it should have a pop-up down here in the lower left corner. And we want to make sure that it does say we add 2 elements. So I'm going to select Add Assets, and then needed to say Add 2 elements. So we're just going to change this to Replace, then Replace Elements, and now they're both in there. So we should be good. So next we need to confirm that the SHP item types are added to the EOPs. So with both EOPs still selected, look at the properties. The SHP item type should be attached with the SHP name property, which is where you can name the element prior to the shape export. So I still have them both selected, properties, SHP, and we should be good. So now we can select each EOP individually and name the SHP name, EOP-L and EOP-R, depending on which one we select. So I'm going to go ahead and select the EOP-L, and I'm just going to name this SHP name to EOP space L. And same with the right one here. Go ahead and select that one, and set the name of the EOP-R. This will be helpful whenever we are importing into Google Earth because the fields can be linked to the element name and the shape file. Within the Asset Manager window, make sure that the elements settings are still set to selection set, and that both EOPs are selected. Let's update the workflow from Assign to Export, and toggle on the Export in 3D. Leave the default maximum field length as is, and then click Export to Shapefile. A Browse the 4 folder window should appear. Select the location on your computer to save the shapefile. I'm just going to do my desktop, and then click OK. Notice an alert at the bottom of the screen indicating that the assets have been successfully exported. By default, the shapefile will be named shp_polylinez.shp. It can also be opened in Google Earth if necessary. And note that the EOP line might be offset since there's no projection correction was applied. So I went ahead and exported it to Google Earth, and you can see here the white lines going across the screen here is the EOP-R and EOP-L lines that we exported out. We can click on them and see those names as well. And again, they're not in the exact correct location since there was no projection correction applied to these lines before we exported them. But you can export them out. And this concludes exercise E.1, exporting a shapefile using Asset Manager.